Hey, everybody. For those of you that are here right now, welcome, welcome. My name's Jules, and I'm going to start off our workshop tonight, but we're waiting for some slides, technical difficulties. So before we do that, I am going to share what I think. Oh, I don't know if I can pick my favorite product, but I am going to talk about two of the products. I'm going to take two. I'm going to talk about the VMG, which is vitamins, minerals, and greens. That is a liquid that you mix up and you drink. It tastes like pineapple and mango. You look at it and you think, ooh, that's green. I don't know about that. But then you taste it and it is so, so tasty. And it just is like fuel for your brain and your body. It's impressive how your brain will feel after you drink it. I just was saying before we started the recording that I woke up at 3 o'clock this morning. And I didn't go back to sleep. And so by 7 o'clock this morning, I was already feeling sort of foggy headed because I was like, oh man, I've been up a while already and I still have all day to go. I took my VMG and within 20 minutes, it was like my brain was firing on every single cell and cylinder. It was awesome. So I'm super excited about it, not only for that reason, but because it's going to be great for those who don't want to take pills or who have trouble swallowing pills. It tastes great and it just makes you feel great. So that's probably my favorite. And my second is the Frankenstick. I love the frankincense stick. So I just thought about it, and maybe J Lo, I don't know if you can share or not, but I thought about it because J Lo just said before we started recording that her low back was hurting because she picked pinyon pine. Is that what you did? Yeah. So pine nuts basically all weekend. And so her low back is sore. And my thought was, well, did you use your deep blue stick and your Frankenstick? So I see her nodding her head, so she can tell us about that.
We sure did. I've been putting the frankincense stick all day long today, off and on a little bit over at work, and then the deep blue right on top of it stick, and it's wonderful. It's superb. And my husband loves the VMG. He is just so happy that he can actually swallow it instead of taking all of those vitamins all at once, and he doesn't have to like struggle through it and fight it off. But he's doing really, really well with the VMG. Thumbs up on that one. Absolutely superb.
Great. I love to hear it. I haven't found anyone yet who, at least in my circle, that has tried it that didn't just love it. So I love hearing stories about everybody else loving it too. How about you, Leslie? Do you have something you want to share? One of the products?
Well, I loved hearing about every single product. It was just fabulous to hear from the doctors. And that's probably one of my favorite parts of convention is to hear from the doctors and talk to some of the doctors in the experience room. And the third part is just seeing everybody. I just love seeing everybody. It's just it's a blast. So I had a good time all the way around, and I loved the experience room, and I loved tasting the VMG. I loved it all. What can I say? I don't have a favorite part or yet a favorite product, but I just loved it all.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks. Okay, Sarah, I can see that you were gone and now you're back. How are we doing on the slides? Can you get them? I don't know if she can hear me. Can you hear me, Sarah?
I think she can hear you. I think she's frustrated because she can't
Okay.
get her phone to work with her or play nice. And I think we just dropped her for some reason, but let's just keep sharing about you guys. So if you're watching the replay and this is our normal experience doTERRA presentation where we get into, the basics, the foundations, and all the things that you can expect from a company like doTERRA, the testing, what to do, what not to do. But we're just kind of recapping while we're waiting for our slides to come up. Some of our things, our favorite things from convention or since convention, things that we've experienced. If you're watching the replay, also, we are headed into a new month tomorrow. So all of these new products launch. There will be bundles where you guys can purchase this stuff all together. And then depending on the bundle that you choose, there will be a little menu that drops down where you'll be able to add additional discounted items at a higher discount. Sorry. And so I wanted to share with you guys a couple of experiences. So when I got home, it was later in the afternoon and my husband still had a bunch of work to do outside. And I'm like, you got to try this new powder. Because he is one who is saying, do I really have to take all of those pills? Like, I don't love taking the handful of pills, but he will take them because he knows how he feels. Well, I made up the little packet, but I put a recharge in with it, and I, whirled it up with my little blender and gave it to him. And he went out, and him and my son continued to work on this project that's really heavy duty outside. And he came back in and he was telling all of my kids, no, you really got to try it. It not only tastes really good, but I could feel the energy boost that I got. So one thing you guys might consider, depending, so when Jules said, gosh, I've been up since 3 o'clock this morning and I took it about, I think she said 6 or something, is you don't want to take that vitamin, the VMG plus, later in the afternoon, because it is meant to give you energy, and it's natural energy from whole foods that your body is able to absorb quickly. And actually there's almost like a time release where you can go up to 8 hours and your body still and getting those supplements and all of that mineral and whole foods from that pack. So so I'm just saying, be aware and be mindful of when you use it. Let's see, we've got Sarah back on.
Yeah, it's been a pain. It finally let me. It just kept saying my access was denied. So it's just now letting me open it. Guys, I have no idea what is happening. I really apologize. What a pain in my butt right now.
Don't even worry about it, Sarah. We've all been on Zoom calls now for how many years? And we know that stuff happens. So don't even worry about it.
Literally, this is my day. This has been my day.
So maybe, Jules, what we maybe could do is just from memory or from what you guys have, teach it without the slideshow.
I'm going to flip my phone and because it's still spinning on that end, but on my phone, I can show you my screen. That's at least something.
We can do it either way, Sarah. If that's really difficult to do, don't worry about it, because I think we probably all have the script up and we can just talk about things as well. So we don't have to have it. Sure, it's great if we do, but do not need it at all if that's a pain. So I'm going to leave that to be your call.
Okay, I'll keep working on it.
Okay. All right. So I'm just going to start again and just introduce myself. My name's Jules. There's some things that we're going to cover in this workshop tonight that you might want to have a piece of paper, pencil, or pen so that you can make some notes. You can also drop some questions in the chat. We have several leaders here that can help answer questions as we go along. But if your question is missed, I want you to make sure that you've written it down so that you can go back to whoever invited you here and get your question answered. Or if you just want to make a mental note, then it doesn't have to be a mental note. You can write it down on that paper so that you can go back to it and reread it after this workshop is over with. We do love to honor your time, and we had a little bit of a glitch here to start out. So we usually try and do this in about 40 to 60 minutes. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to try and stay on that time frame. And we'll also be using the chat as we go along. So if you're unfamiliar with the chat, which I think probably everybody knows where it is because we've all been on Zoom now several times in the past 4 years. But if you're unfamiliar with it, I want you to jump in, look for your chat bubble, jump into the chat, introduce yourself, let us know who invited you, where you're coming in from. I'm Jules. I'm in Discovery Bay, California. I'm originally from Nevada, but I'm transplanted to California. I went the opposite way. Most people go from California to Nevada, but I came to the warm weather. So that's me. And any other time of year when it's warm, I'm out there floating on the bay because I have water right out my back door. But the water's getting cool enough now, I can't do that. So this is where I am. So let's see if anybody, I know that we had somebody, I saw a face here that I didn't know. Hey, Leslie, thanks for jumping in there. I saw a face here that I wasn't sure who it was too. So if you, like I said, if you're new, make sure that you drop that into the chat so that we can all say hello and kind of hold your hand and walk you through here as we go through the workshop. So tonight we're going to talk about several things that help to determine our metabolic health. And what we like to do is we like you to, normally there's a screen up where you can see each thing is numbered, but I'm going to go through them. So just listen. And if you would drop in the chat the number of the things that maybe you deal with or someone you know deals with, the health challenges or the wellness challenges that you might deal with. First would be digestive issues. That's number one. Number two is headaches, pain, and inflammation. Number three would be immunity challenges. Maybe you're getting sick all the time and you feel really run down. Number four would be stress and anxiety. Five would be maybe just low energy and you just don't feel like you have any stamina. Six would be sleep issues. Maybe you have trouble sleeping. And then seven would be blood sugar regulation. So you have trouble with regulating that. For me, I'm a number two and sometimes a number six. My sleep is getting dialed in, but sometimes I'm asleep too. So that would be number six. And number two is a constant process for me, and that's inflammation. I don't get headaches, but I do end up with pain and inflammation in my body. So that's what I'm always working on. So if you would, drop in the chat. I saw some numbers pop in there. And I want you to keep that in mind as we go along, because we'll have options that we'll share here tonight, some options that I think will pique your interest, and you'll be really glad that you have some natural solutions to deal with them. So we're going to look at two different approaches, two these things that I just mentioned tonight. And one is the modern approach. And that's just kind of what we deal with now day to day with pharmaceuticals and hospitals and doctors. That's the modern approach. And then we're going to look at the natural approach as well. So when we look at that, there are some facts that I want everyone to know. Oh, good, Sarah, you got the slides up. Perfect. There are some facts that I want everybody to know about the modern approach. And these are facts that anyone can look up. You can Google these. They are there for your information. They come off of websites like PubMed and our own CDC. So the information is there if you want to double check me. But the US consumes 75% of the world's prescription drugs, even though we only make up 5% of the world's population. That just blows my mind when I think about that stat. Every 19 minutes in the US, someone dies from an accidental overdose of prescription meds. But it's not something we hear about, but that happens every 19 minutes here in the US. Our FDA estimates that there are 200,000 Americans that are hospitalized each year because of overdoses and negative side effects of over-the-counter products like Advil, Tylenol, ibuprofen, aspirin. Simple little things that we don't even think about. But estimates are that there are 200,000 Americans that visit hospitals because of issues with those over-the-counter products. And then the last little tidbit is that I want you to think about on the modern approach is Tylenol. Tylenol is something that we're told as mamas that we should give that to our kids, our littles, when they aren't feeling well. Give them Tylenol. And the thing is, Tylenol is most commonly prescribed for infants, but it's actually known to cause liver damage if it's used in excess. So it taxes their little livers every time we give it to them. So we need to think about those kind of things. And that's what we're hoping to just give you that mental shift and to think about maybe a different approach, different way to look at things. And then the last little tidbit, the very last little tidbit is that we spend 6.5 billion or trillion, that's with a T, dollars each year on global health care. Yet just based on those stats that I just shared with you, you have to ask, are we any healthier? And the answer is an emphatic no, we aren't. So the modern approach is we've been programmed to use that, and it treats a symptom. It's like a Band-Aid for something, but it doesn't address a root cause. Root causes often get overlooked and most times get overlooked. So with the natural approach, we try and look at root cause. Why am I having that headache? Why is my back hurting? Why is that happening? Why do my knees hurt? So that's what we want to look at is why do I have too much inflammation in my body? So we're going to address root causes, and we're going to give you some options for those root causes right now. When we use plant-based materials, plant-based sources, our body knows what to do with them. We are brilliantly designed to use the things that nature produces, and our body knows what to do with them when we do use them. So we get the benefit from them right away. Okay, hang on here. I just lost what I was looking at. Hang on. Okay, now we're on to what creates these things. See, Sarah, I'm glad you were able to get the slides up. So nutrient deficiency is the main factor of what creates this dis-ease or disease in the body. I like to call it dis-ease. So nutrient deficiency is number one. Number two is inflammation. And number three is toxic overload. These are the things that trigger or are part of those root causes that trigger the symptoms. So let's look at nutrient deficiencies. And there's a source here. When we look at this, nutrition is the source of dis-ease, and it's at the core of our immune function, or just our foundational wellness. And when we have a really strong foundation, then we don't have a lot of these issues. But if we have a weakness in our foundation, we start to have issues. So the Environmental Working Group is who put this slide that you're seeing on the screen. They put this together. And what they discovered was that 95% of US adults are deficient in vitamin D. 94% of us are deficient in vitamin E, and 61% are deficient in magnesium. These are all things that we didn't used to even have to think about because we spent time outside. We spent time moving. We spent time getting these nutrients from the food that we ate. But our food is depleted now, and we don't get that same kind of nutrition. And we spend a lot of time indoors. So that's part of that vitamin D deficiency. The data shows us that our nutritional foundations aren't strong. It shows us that most Americans don't have a great baseline health or foundational health. And how do they show up? How do these deficiencies that you see on your screen there, how do they show up? They show up as inflammation, as headaches, as trouble sleeping, as foggy thinking, as lack of energy, as digestive issues. So do any of those hit home when I'm talking about them? Are there any of those, oh, wow, never thought about it that way kind of moments in your brain as I share that? Poor nutrition is the number one cause of poor health, and we all have to think about that. What causes inflammation? Because it's our second source of disease in the body. And I already mentioned I deal with too much of that myself. It's a constant battle for me, or a constant work in progress, I'll say. It's linked to many, many, many diseases, which are listed up there on the slide. And one of the biggest contributors to inflammation that we seldom think about is sugar. And there is sugar in most everything that we buy at the store, particularly if it's a packaged or processed food. It's loaded with sugar, and it is a major trigger for inflammation. Also, industrial oils like vegetable oil, palm oil, corn oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil, things that maybe our parents used them, maybe we've been using them. Those are all really hard for our body to deal with, and it will cause inflammation. And then toxins in our environment are another cause of inflammation, and stress and lack of sleep. And we all know that so many of us deal with that stress and lack of sleep. Toxic load is the third issue that we deal with that's the source of disease. And this is talking about the chemicals that load up in our body. Just little bits, little micro chemicals that load up and stress our body over time. They build up from our environment. They build up from processed foods. They build up from pesticide use and pesticides in our food. And they also build up from something as unthought about as personal care products, makeup, hair care, skin care, perfumes, things like that. Those all tax our system, and they all cause problems for us. The Product Safety Commission tested and found 150 cleaning chemicals that are directly linked to ADD, asthma, cancer, reproductive problems, respiratory problems, and more. We can't always control what we come into contact with outside of our home, but we can definitely control what we bring into our home, and what we use on our bodies, and what we expose ourselves to in our homes. So now that I've given you all the bad news and all the gloom and doom, now I'm going to introduce our next speaker, and she's going to tell us all about what we can do about it. And I am so sorry, but I didn't look to see who our next speaker was. I think it might be Leslie, but I'm not sure.
It's JLo.
Oh, hey, J-Lo. Sorry about that. That's my bad. I hardly ever do that. That's I think my first time. So sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. So next up, we're going to talk about, we just finished talking about, how everything happens to the body and how everything, just penetrates it and just really, really hurts your body, especially everything that we're exposed to, even at work, anything at work. So we're just about ready to see our first health solutions. So are you excited? I know I am. However, before we do, let's go to the chat feature. Who here uses supplements? How many of you are currently using supplements? I've got a thumbs up. I'm with you, Jules. I do lots of them too. I think a lot of us do, but the good kind. Awesome. So if we think of, vitamins, we think D, C, and B, and maybe you take a multivitamin or an omega. If you take any of the kind of supplements, put what you are taking in the chat box. LLV, I think the majority of us are LLV lovers. Or VMG. Sorry, guys, that's my phone. Sorry. Okay, fine. I just did a hang up. Sorry. Now let's take a quick look at the supplement industry, where many turn to boost their nutrition. The study by the FDA from 2007 to 2016 detected contaminants in 776 dietary supplements produced by 146 companies. Another study of 3 leading memory supplements found that 2 of them didn't even contain the active ingredient. Sorry, guys, I'm so sorry.
I'll jump back in while she's on that call. So another study of 3 leading memory supplements, you guys, showed that 2 of them didn't even contain the active ingredient that was listed on the label. So I finished, J-Lo?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's
Sorry,
okay.
everyone. The supplement industry is not heavily regulated, and products can contain lots of fillers and not much of the ingredients itself listed. And actually, I ran into him, so I'm going to just go off on a little tangent here. A friend of mine from high school was hospitalized just from overdosing on over-the-counter vitamins. Just like spent 3 days trying to detox his body in the hospital because he was so sick. So, just to tell you a little bit more about those supplements, we have to be really, really careful with them. So we have to watch out what's in the ingredients and make sure that we know what's listed is in there and not byproducts or anything else that are fillers. If you have reservations or hesitations as to whether a product would work or not, this information supports my concern. As I mentioned, the supplement industry is not heavily regulated. Here's a story from a fellow wellness advocate whose son works in a health store. He told his mother, that when a supplement on the shelf has been tested and found to be missing an active ingredient listed on the label, the store has up to 9 months to remove that product from the shelves. That's concerning because it means they continue to sell the product. Because our standard American diet is deficient in most vitamins and nutrients because our farming practices have changed and soil is depleted of nutrients. It is necessary to supplement our body to get what it needs and to function properly. So let's make sure we are using safe and efficient supplements. Who's excited to learn about the first healthy solution? I know I am. So let's look at the lifelong vitality. My favorite, it's really been helping me, that's for sure. doTERRA is known for its safe and effective oils, but did you know that the lifelong vitality supplements are doTERRA's best-selling product because they effectively address all three dis-ease areas we just mentioned: nutrition, that's nutrient deficiency, inflammation, and toxic overload. Think of this as the line of necessary foundation for your health house. In addition, this line helps support the cleansing and filtering out of toxins.
And then you need to freeze
Hang
it.
on, just hang on just 1 second, J-Lo. Sarah, you're unmuted.
There are three supplements in this line: a fruit nutrient, cellular repair, and your omegas. This line of micronutrients, long life vitality, fills the nutrient buckets in your body, contains powerful antioxidants to help protect our DNA, made with whole food ingredients, 95% bioavailable for the body. The average supplement is 20 to 30% bioavailable. This product has gotten more people off their over-the-counter and prescription drugs more than any other product doTERRA sells. And I can attest to that. I previously mentioned that I was on a stomach aid, PPI, if anybody knows what those are. And it was actually hurting my muscles. And once I got off of it and took actually the full dose of the lifelong vitality, I no longer have that muscle pain that I was having. It was just like crawling up and down my back, and it's no longer there. So I feel really, really good about that. Any other testimonies? Anyone want to chime in?
I'm going to use Luke's really fast. That's my husband. So he had knee surgery recently, and it actually told him he couldn't take his lifelong vitality for 10 days, which is fine in a normal basis, but when you're having aches and pains. And so he actually asked me to bring in a sachet of the lifelong vitality to his surgery. As soon as he got out of surgery and woke up, I handed him this sachet. They asked him immediately, they're like, "What are you taking?" And he's like, "Something that's going to help me faster than what you're giving me." So he notices right away, if he does not take his lifelong vitality, he had a hard time getting out of bed, his hips, his joints. He said, "I cannot tell you, I will never not take this."
Wow. Thank you, Sarah. It's powerful. It's really, really, really is powerful. I'd like you to take a look at the slide. It's about a 60-day clinical trial. You'll see some interesting statistics here. These clinical trial results are based on blood work taken before and after subjects took doTERRA's lifelong vitality for 2 months, while continuing their normal diet and exercise habits. This is the difference that can be experienced when you begin taking bioavailable nutrients, dense supplements like lifelong vitality. I consider lifelong vitality, or LLV, as part of my food budget and would urge you to do the same. It's less than a cup of coffee at your favorite coffee place. If you purchase it through our customer rewards program, you also get points to get future products for free. Healthy gut and your biome, or healthy gut biome. To focus on gut health specifically, lifelong vitality paired with PB Restore and Terrazyme is our highest recommendation. The gut plays a vital role in our overall health and well-being. Often called our second brain, the gut is vital in everything from our weight to our immune function to our mental wellness. Leslie, I think I'm handing it off to you tonight.
You are. Thanks, JLo. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm so glad to be with you this evening. Now I'm going to take you through the journey of diabetes and sugar, because diabetes is an increasing problem in the United States, and we do have some solutions that may help you avoid it. So I'm going to take you back into the chat, and I'm going to ask you a question. What percentage has diabetes cases increased in America since 1960? Put your answer in the chat. 100%? Anyone else? Well, let me tell you, it's 700%. Here we go. How long does it take the average American to consume the same amount of sugar that our ancestors from 200 years ago would consume in a year? Put that answer in the chat. One week? 10 days? Do you know it takes only 2 weeks for us to consume the same amount of sugar as our ancestors? That's unbelievable. So what can we do about it? We're going to talk a little bit about cardiometabolic health. Only 6.8% of the population have optimal cardiometabolic health. That means that 93% of us don't. That's also scary. We have already discussed the challenges that we face when we are not functioning optimally. So let's dive into some solutions. We're going to dive into our MetaPower system, which was specifically designed to tackle poor cardiometabolic health. This is your macronutrient line. It pairs beautifully with LLV, Lifelong Vitality, our micronutrient line. And the MetaPower line does 3 things. It addresses cellular repair that leads to aging. Number 2, it addresses blood sugar regulation. And number 3, it supports the inhibiting of fat cell absorption into our cells. Let's talk about lifespan versus health span. Well, we can't do anything about our chronological age, that's our lifespan. We can do something about our metabolic age, which is our health span. Did you know that the average American spends the last 14 years of their life in a state of declining health with difficulty completing everyday tasks? What if we could be empowered to change that? What if we can write a different story for ourselves? The MetaPower system is the first and only system that synergistically supports a healthy metabolism, curbs cravings, sustains normal range glycemic and insulin response evenly throughout the day, and naturally promotes cellular energy. Those using this line have reported improvements in eyesight, energy, pain, neuropathy, sleep, skin and hair growth, skin and then hair growth, mood, and mobility and strength, which causes the body to build muscle. Before we get into too many heavy details of MetaPower, let's look at the few benefits in these before and after pics. The young lady on the top has been using MetaPower for 4 months. She's had amazing results, specifically with improvements on her face, her eyes, and her hair. The gentleman on the bottom left experienced improved skin elasticity, darker hair growth. He took blood work, and after 3 weeks on the MetaPower system, showed a 40-point decrease in cholesterol, a 25-point decrease in LDL, a 57-point decrease in his triglycerides. On the right side, you see a 58-year-old lady who had red spots on her arms. Anytime she bumped herself, they would appear. Doctors biopsied and said, it's just what happens when you get older. After using MetaPower for just 3 months, the spots are totally gone. She has seen other changes too. A 60-pound weight loss, thicker hair, her nails are growing, and a lower A1C. I want to highlight one of the MetaPower products, the MetaPower Advantage. This is doTERRA's collagen product. Unlike any other on the market, this product, which includes 9 types of collagen, over 70% tripeptides, so your body absorbs it 12 times more than other collagens. A peptide is just simply a large protein chain. When it's broken down into tripeptides, it's simply smaller protein chains. The body can absorb and utilize them in their entirety. Advantage comes in small packets with freeze-dried collagen and other nutrients to mix with 4 to 6 ounces of cool or cold water. MetaPower Advantage, 1, promotes healthy biological aging and improves health span by helping aging cells. 2, it activates longevity genes. 3, it improves cognitive function. 4, it supports lean muscle and connective tissue. And 5, it improves skin elasticity and firmness. If you love science and knowing how and why these products work, ask your wellness advocate to send our deep dive recordings for lifelong vitality and MetaPower. Does anyone have a MetaPower testimonial they can share with us tonight? It would be much appreciated.
I can.
Thanks, Joel.
Surprising, huh?
Yeah.
This is my favorite product, hands down, my favorite product. And I'll actually share 2 really short stories. First of all, is my story, and that is inflammation. I've already commented that I deal with too much inflammation. Turns out I have an autoimmune disease, blah, 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 blah. But it causes too much inflammation in my body. And so I have always been biohacking for years, literally since 1998. Before biohacking was a thing, I was biohacking. And I was always looking for natural ways to help me lessen the inflammation in my body. So I've used collagen for years and years and years. And most collagen only have 1, 2, maybe 3 types of collagen in them. And they're usually targeted towards your hair, your skin, and your nails. But I still was taking it because I knew my body needed collagen. But when doTERRA came out with this, I was super excited, like over the moon excited. I got my kit that day. I opened it up and I downed my first packet of collagen. And I've been taking 2 a day ever since then. So that's over 2 years now. I've been taking 2 a day and my inflammation is exponentially better. Is it gone? No, but it is exponentially better. My back feels better. My wrists feel better. My knees feel better. It just really, really changed how I felt and how I moved in my body. So that's my story. I will never be without this advantage. There's nothing else like it on the marketplace. And then the other story that I'll share, and I'm not going to use the name, so some of you may know what it is, but it's a condition that happens in people's hands. They get these nodules kind of in their palms, and it will take their fingers and it will shorten them into like a fist, and they can't unbend their fingers. It's got a name, and it's called a contracture, is what happens. Well, my guy, James, was starting to get that in his palms. He didn't know what it was. And he showed me, and because of my years in therapy, in physical therapy, I knew what it was. And I told him, I said, we need to do something about that. So I started working on them every day. I would work on his hands. Well, then this product came out. James started using it. And here we are 2 years later, and you can barely feel the nodules in his palms, and his hands are not contracted at all. And the nodules in his palms are so much smaller. It used to be when he'd open his hand like this, you could see the big white bumps in his hand where those nodules were. And those are almost gone. Can't even feel them, and you can't see them. So It's amazing what it's done for the 2 of us. We won't be without it. Like literally, we never run out of this product.
That's awesome, Jules. Two really awesome testimonials. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Okay, I'm not really sure who's next. Does anyone know who's next to talk about the beginning of oils?
Well,
No.
it was going
was
to be Tracy.
Tracy,
Yeah,
but I don't
then
see her on here.
Yeah, she this afternoon said that she was still sick and that she
Oh.
can't do it. So I will jump in.
I
Okay.
can take it over if you want me to.
Okay,
That'd be
Lori,
fine
you
too.
go. Yeah,
Okay.
you go, Lori.
Okay.
All right, Lori, thank you.
In an independent study conducted by Roseman University on doTERRA essential oils, they were found to be therapeutically relevant in cellular growth and rejuvenation, beneficial in supporting metabolic health, and provided positive effects for a healthy inflammatory response. doTERRA really prides themselves on their studies, and it's really important that we recognize the quality that doTERRA puts into their oils. Essential oils from competitors had minimal effects in this study, and that shouldn't be surprising. The study concluded that the therapeutic potential of essential oils is highly dependent on the complete composition of the oil. In layman's terms, that means how much of it is actual oil and what else is in the bottle. Sourcing, processing, and characterization are critical, and doTERRA stands out. Our pursuit is purity. Let's look at the doTERRA difference. When an oil is truly pure, they do not include filters. There's no synthetic ingredients, and there is no dilution. Independent lab tests have shown that the majority of brands available to consumers are not pure. If you'd like links, talk to your consultant and they'll be happy to help you with finding more information out about how the purity list breaks down. doTERRA sources their oils from plants grown in their ideal environments. This makes all the difference for the chemical profile and the therapeutic effectiveness of an oil. Every batch of doTERRA's oil is tested for ideal chemistry and consistency so that our oils do what we expect them to do every time. Over 54 tests are done on each batch of doTERRA oils, from the farmer clear to the consumer. Our doTERRA oils can be used topically, aromatically, and generally internally. People do turn to doTERRA because they are safe, affordable, and effective solutions for all of our family's health. Let's look at what that means exactly. Many people are looking for safe and effective solutions that don't have dangerous side effects or the risk of addiction that many of the over-the-counter products and pharmaceuticals do. We just mentioned independent lab tests show that most oils on the market have contaminants and synthetic markers. We strongly suggest never ingesting another brand. doTERRA recognized that the essential oil industry didn't have a standard for purity that ensured this safety. To raise the bar, they created a new standard, the CPTG, which means Certified Pure Tested Grade. This standard is beyond organic and includes significant testing that isn't cheap. doTERRA invests to ensure that you have the most effective, safest product because that is what's best for you and me. Many doTERRA oils are safe to ingest. Just look at the food grade label on the bottle. These two girls were spending the night at their grandmother's house. They were used to putting on doTERRA lavender oil on their chest just before bed to help them relax and go to sleep, which is probably common for a lot of us. Grandma was out of doTERRA lavender. She used a backup from another company in her cabinet that she bought at a health food store and figured it's just lavender, so it should work. Probably didn't even think about it. The girls ended up with chemical burns with scars for almost a year later. We're not saying this will be your reaction with other essential oils. However, it is important that you understand that there are risks when you don't really know what's inside the bottle. doTERRA oils are safe to use at any age, from newborn babies to great grandma. Brands matter for safety. Let's look at the affordability and effectiveness. Believe it or not, affordability is one reason people turn to doTERRA. Oils are 50 to 70 times more potent than herbs. This means a little goes a long way. Let's illustrate. Using the chat feature, make a guess. A recent test of Costco peppermint oil showed that theirs was not 100% peppermint oil. How much peppermint is in a Costco peppermint oil bottle? Does anybody know? Do you have any great guesses out there? 1%, 2%? Wow, it is just 10%. We don't have much faith in that peppermint oil from Costco. When you use a doTERRA CPTG oil, you get 100% of the real oil, making it much cheaper than other options that may be diluted or adulterated. Some fun facts about affordability. Each 15 ml bottle has 250 drops of essential oil in it. One dose is usually 1 to 2 drops. On average, it's about $1 or less for each treatment. Here's an essential oil tip. When you're addressing an ailment, it is always better to use less oil more frequently. For example, 1 drop of oil on a wound every 2 to 3 hours throughout the day is much more effective than using 8 drops of oil on a wound at one time. Use less more frequently. Okay, so let's look at the effectiveness. For our scientists in the workshop, we know this is a very simplified lesson. So here we go. Our body is made up of cells. Each one is surrounded by an oily membrane intended to protect it. It keeps the good in and the bad out. When you have a bacterial infection, see the green blob? An antibiotic will help because the bacteria grows on the outside of the cell. Viruses are completely different, and they proliferate on the inside of the cell. Unlike most modern medicine, essential oils can penetrate the cell membrane, help stop the duplication of the virus, and support your immune system to work optimally. When you have essential oils on hand, you have effective tools to begin supporting your body immediately instead of waiting to see a doctor and save money on copays. Now let's look at the immune support. There are many oils that support the immune system. Here are but a few. So I have a keychain that I carry many of them in my keychain so that I have them wherever I go. So my favorite one, it's really hard. Some days it's one thing and some days it's another, but I think frankincense is probably my most favorite one to have. I put it in my keychain mostly because when I'm traveling and I'm sitting in an airplane or something, that's the first thing I go to breathe in with my On Guard. Frankincense is just a good overall one to have around. Others, like oregano, for instance, it's a powerhouse antibacterial. It's great for any skin irritation you may have, skin tags, warts, or even canker sores. Tea tree, it's great for things that are fungal and any kind of infection. So maybe you get a cut or something like that. It's great for wounds and cuts. cold sores, great for acne as well. And if you struggle with smelly armpits, even when you use deodorant, tea tree is good for that. All right, our medicine cabinet basics. Imagine a medicine cabinet filled with safe and effective oils without addictive properties or side effects. That will have you ready at any moment's notice to address life's little emergencies. Here are but a few medicine cabinet basics. So, to honor your time, I'm going to share just a bit about my experience with just having basic things around. Lavender and lemon and peppermint are like a real go-to for me specifically, because I can use those to stop an allergic reaction, and that's for me personally. But I'm going to go ahead and go through what lavender does as well. It's calming for the mind and skin. It's great on bug bites and bee bites. Anytime our body needs calming, it soothes, heals burns and skin irritations. So just think of it as our calming oil. It's good for if you struggle with sleep or just unwinding. Okay, so pain and inflammation. If you suffer from pain and inflammation, Deep Blue is our go-to. Jules talked a whole bunch about how she deals with pain and inflammation, or inflammation specifically. And I know she loves Deep Blue just as much as I do. It soothes muscle, back, and joint pain, arthritis, rheumatism, gout, bruises and swelling, growing pains, broken bones and sprains. And then we can, and we also have copaiba, which is another amazing oil. It's great for any anti-inflammatories. It increases effectiveness of all of our other oils. It strengthens our immunity. It replaces over-the-counter pain relievers, and is a CBD replacement as well. And just so you know, I don't have the script next to me. I don't know why my script just died. So if there's someone who could take over with the script, that would be great.
I can, no problem.
Thank you. I have no idea what happened.
All right, so we want to talk about the mood and emotional support as well. And this is something that, I'll be honest, I overlooked a lot when I first started using essential oils way before doTERRA even. I just didn't realize how they could support our mood and emotions, and how they acted or reacted or influenced our brain. And there's actually a lot of science on it, and I'm kind of one of those science nerds. So I love to talk about now, and I'm not real well versed in it because I'm still just learning, but I love to talk about the mood and emotional support of essential oils, because we have 3 of them here on the screen, and we have more, but we're going to just look at these. For instance, these 3 oils right here can shift not only your mood, but if you put them in a diffuser, they can shift the mood of the room and the energy of the room that you're in. So I'm going to talk about just one of them here, and I'm going to talk about adaptive, because this oil has been a big, big, big positive influence in our life here, because James has always dealt with having anxious feelings and feeling a little bit of overwhelm and just that uneasy feeling that comes with that kind of emotional stress. And adaptive has been a game changer for him. He uses this oil in the oil like this. He uses it in the touch roller that it comes in, and he also uses the adaptive capsules. So what adaptive does is it helps our brain stay in the executive functioning of the frontal cortex instead of going into the fight or flight like is triggered when we're feeling anxious about something. It brings a calming effect over your entire body. We can, like I said, we can diffuse it in a room and change the atmosphere, the energy of a room. It's just amazing to use. I have a little testimonial that I'll share with this just about me. And that is when my daughter was having my first grandchild. It was in the throes of COVID. And so no one could go to the hospital. Just she and her husband could be there. No one else could be there. And as mom, all I could think about was all the things that could go wrong. And that if they went wrong, I could not get to my girl. And it just was freaking me out. And I'm usually level, don't get bugged about things, anything. And I was freaked out. And right before I left to go wait in the parking lot at the hospital, James said to me, "Did you take any adaptive? Did you use adaptive?" And I hadn't even thought about it. But because he used it all the time, he knew what it was going to do for me. He got out 2 capsules. He gave them to me. I took them. And within 20 minutes of taking them, I was in a different mental space. It calmed me so much. I was no longer on the edge of tears, and I was able to just be excited, but not overwhelmed with worry about everything that could or might go wrong. So an amazing, amazing product. And I think that everyone should have one or all of these in their arsenal because they can really change your emotion and your mood. It's incredible. So you see, we have serenity and balance there as well. I'm not going to go into all those, but if you want to know more about them, reach out to who invited you and just start asking questions, because you'll be really happy that you did, that you have these kind of tools at your fingertips, not only for you, but even for your kids. Okay. So we've made it to the end of this somehow. We've made it to the end, and now my dog's going to bark. Sorry about that. Just goes right along with everything that's happened here tonight. But I want to share with you kind of my story and my 30-second commercial, if you will, as to why I ended up here with doTERRA. I, for years, have been using essential oils since I was in my 20s. I will be 64 in just a few days. So for years, I have been using essential oils. But I thought I was using all the best. And I also have had a career, a long career, successful career as a massage therapist. I worked in my own practice, in spas, and also in rehab, working with physical therapists. And I've used the oils all through that. Well, in 2014, a client of mine brought me a little bottle of Deep Blue and asked me if I would use it on her. And I'll spare you all the details of that story, but it is not an exaggeration to tell you that that little bottle of Deep Blue changed the trajectory of my practice, and it also changed the trajectory of my business life, because I realized as my body was getting tired after 30 plus years of doing massage, and I was needing a break because my body was breaking down, I realized that I was going to need another source of income and another way to generate some income. And for me, doTERRA became a side hustle because I saw the difference that the oils and the products were making in my life and in my practice. So that's how I started. And then as I have gone on with it, I have met all these incredible people, or most of the incredible people that you see here tonight. And if you are in our Good Vibes team, you know that there are thousands of people in there. I would never have met these people were it not for doTERRA. This has become my community. This has become where I connect with people who think like I think, and people who want to feel better in their bodies, and they want to help other people feel better. So for me, that's what doTERRA has brought me. And I will forever be grateful for it, for that little bottle of Deep Blue that opened the door to literally changing my life and my practice. So if you want a little more time flexibility, if you want to make a difference, like I just said, that's my connection with these people here, is that we all want to make a difference, and you love making new friends, this is a great place to kick the tires a little bit. Ask some questions. Find out what doTERRA might do for you and how you can use doTERRA to maybe catapult your life in a different direction, or your business in a different direction. You won't be sorry. if you ask some questions. I promise you, it literally has changed my life. And I hope that if you're here tonight, you heard something that sparked some interest in you that will have you reach out to whoever invited you and get some questions answered. Okay, so Lori held up her keychain. I have mine here too. I don't know if you guys can see that because I can't see me, but this is my keychain here, and there's the keychain on the screen. Every one of us has 1, 2, 3, 4 of these. I know Sarah has them in every vehicle they own, and Luke has one, she has one, the kids probably have one. We all carry these because we don't leave home without them. This is our toolbox. This is how we treat things. And if you want to get your hands on one of these, you can do something as simple as reach out to whoever invited you here and host a workshop. It can be done online like this. It can be done in your living room with just a couple of friends if you want to. And you'll even, if you do that, as people show up and as people join in at your workshop, you can get oils added, your choice of oils added to a keychain. So just know that that's an option. It's a little perk for just open your mind to sharing doTERRA and what it might do for you and for everyone else. Okay, now we're going to go on. We have a survey here. If you are new here, I want you to take either screenshot of this and fill out this survey. I'm going to drop the link in the chat here too. I think I can drop it. Hang on. Give me just a second. I'm going to drop the link in the chat, and I would like to ask you to fill that out if you're new here in particular, because what it will do is it will give whoever invited you the information to help you get what you need with doTERRA. So I'm dropping it in the chat right now. So take a minute. There it is right there. Take a minute and fill that out. And when you've done, it's just a few questions. So when you're done with that, if you would just type done in the comments, and then we know that we've given you enough time to jump in and fill that out. And again, just a few questions, and it's just there to help you, to help whoever invited you, help you get what you need or help you get your questions answered. I see some faces filling things out. So let me know if anybody's done, so we know we've had enough time. Just drop it in the chat. Done. Thanks. Appreciate that. Okay, Sarah, let's go ahead to the last slide. I have not been looking because I've just been kind of getting ready to jump in if I needed to. Do we have a giveaway tonight? Do we have new people on here that we could throw into a wheel and do a giveaway?
I did. Yep. And Jessica Reyes won.
Okay. Okay, Jessica. All right. So you will be getting, whoever invited you will be sending you a link to a couple of really cool things that will help you learn your products, learn your oils, learn whatever you have, and get a little more out of what you have your hands on. So they're really cool. Oh, you're welcome. You're very welcome. Okay, here's another QR code that I would like to invite you to take a screenshot of. This QR code will keep you connected to everything that this team and this group does. And we are in the thousands of us that are in this team, thanks to Haley. And this is where you can just be connected to everything. We always have a Monday night class, same Zoom room, same time, 5:30 Pacific. Take it on out from there as you go across the country, whatever your time zone is. And then on Tuesday night, we have 8 different weeks of continuing education. And then we rotate them. We start with week 1, and then we just go through until we've gotten to 8, and then we start all over again. And those continuing education classes are amazing. And I invite you to clue into those or jump into those. Again, those are in this same Zoom room at 5:30 every Tuesday night. And you can jump in at any time and learn more. We break down pretty much every different product line that doTERRA offers, and we break it down and do a little deeper dive into everything. So you'll always learn something, no matter if you've been to that class 1 time or 10 times, you will learn something every single time you join. And then on Wednesday nights, we have a class that is, we call it our roundtable class. And it's like our workshop. And this is where you can go in, you can ask questions. It's not recorded. We don't have to worry kind of about naming diseases and things like that. We don't have to be compliant because we don't have to worry about it. And you can just ask the questions that you need. You don't have to worry about maybe sharing something too personal because it's being recorded. It's not. We're inviting you into a kitchen table to have a sit down conversation and get the information that you need. So that's what's on Wednesday nights. And there's also an email that can come out to you, and also a text string to remind you of these classes. So use that QR code and get plugged into everything that this group offers, because you won't be sorry. You'll love it. And I think that's it. Thanks so much to everybody who jumped in tonight and taught. Apologies for kind of the randomness of everything tonight. We all jumped in here kind of last minute, and we had some people who were sick who couldn't jump in. So hopefully you guys stuck with us, and hopefully you were at least mildly entertained by it and you learned something. So anyway, thanks for joining. Haley, you can stop the recording if you'd like.